Hi, welcome to my channel, Psychic Kathleen. If this is the first time you've visited my channel, then welcome. I'm glad you were able to join me here today. I have been working on this project for a while, and the project is a description of a client. A client has brought me an issue or a question or a reason to come and see me. Most clients do. I've laid out a reading, I've interpreted that reading, and these videos are a way of explaining the process. So how I address those issues in the context of the cards that are drawn, and then of course, you know, what conclusions are reached as a consequence of the reading. So this client is in her mid-40s, and she, as typical of most of my clients, she has been going through a lot of changes. Some she's brought on herself, others have been foisted upon her. A serious primary relationship has just broken up. Her lover has said that he doesn't love her and he doesn't want to live with her anymore. Although they continue to be close, they work together, they do see each other still. She feels that he still does love her, but that certainly was a change, and that precipitated a move. She moved here, so that's just been a few months that she's been living here now in this area for the first time ever. Her work remains the same, but her relationships also feel like they're shifting and changing at the same time. So she was familiar with tarot readings. She had a friend back east that used to do readings for her, so she was well familiar with the process. She considers herself a very spiritual woman. She's off and on had different spiritual traditions that she's pursued. At present, she is studying Buddhism and finds that it's speaking volumes to her. She works in a job where she has a lot of alone time, and that affords her the opportunity to listen to tapes and read books on her own. And so she's making quite a study of Buddhism. So I wanted to bring some of those elements as well into the reading, so she would have some context to think about what we were going to talk about. So she didn't exactly have a specific question for me. It was more, let's see what the cards have to say about what's going on in my life right now, which is a common question, certainly. I certainly received that quite a bit. So we did what I would consider a general reading. This spread is called the Dark Goddess Spread. Now the first card tells us what needs her protection or where she's vulnerable. And that came up the Four of Wands. The Four of Wands would be like a campfire. So there's a fire burning and there's stones around the campfire, sort of. So it's like a perfectly contained fire. And she's a Leo, so fire is her element. And I said, what needs your protection is that your fire is actually leaping outside of the sort of boundaries. And you could light these fires going anywhere, but you know, leading ultimately to lack of happiness for you. You could end up being very unhappy. So what you need to do is kind of contain your fire. And other cards in the reading had certainly suggested that what she needed was a better plan. So her life, waking up, let's say, at 44 in this position, it meant that had happened from just lack of planning, lack of really thinking ahead on what she'd like to happen. It was very kind of reactive. Not an uncommon experience for most of us at some points in our lives. We're just reactive. We're doing the best we can at any given time. but she doesn't want to keep doing that much longer. It's basically what the reading in summary was urging her to evaluate. For example, the Three of Discs had come up in new perspective. So if she were to look at her life from a whole new perspective, she would indeed see that planning, having a plan, would have led to a happier place for her today than where she's found herself at present. Now the insight card was the Eight of Cups, which is emotional withdrawal. So I said to her, you have been emotionally withdrawing, obviously from your lover, but perhaps from family and friends as well. And she said, oh yes, that's why I moved here, was to get away from everybody, because I don't want anybody influencing me right now. With the decisions that I make. I want to make my own decisions. I said, well, it's very good. But just know that you are in emotional withdrawal, and you might want to share that with the people in your life, because people may be taking offense. They might be thinking you're mad at them, or that this is specific to them. And I said, and really isn't. This is just something that you're doing right across the board with everybody. So just a heads up that you just should indicate that to people. This is you doing that, and probably won't last forever. Now the Empress card came up in what needs her release and what she needs to let go of. And this is the mother archetype. So I said to her, you're mothering everybody. You're probably mothering in relationships, you're mothering friends, you're mothering, and she said, I just said that recently to somebody, that I'm taking care of everybody all the time, and I'm tired of it. And I said, well, indeed, you need to stop it, because that's not a good practice. And it certainly would be counter to the teachings of Buddhism. And we talked about that. And she said, well, how do I stop? How does somebody just stop mothering? I said, well, thinking about why you're mothering everybody would probably be a help. And I said, you're mothering for two reasons. One is you like control, and mothers have control. So you're having control over people, and being a mom, you're making decisions for people, and so yeah, this is giving you some power. So that may be part of its appeal. And the second reason is because it's a way for you to guarantee love, because if you're mothering, then people love you, because people love to be mothered and looked after. So indeed, she said, yeah, the second reason is really ringing a bell. She said, I think you're absolutely right. I said, well, you might want to stop doing that, because as Buddhism would teach you, interfering in somebody else's destiny is really not your role, and it's not really something that you want to keep doing either, because it's a distraction as well. It's distracting you from mothering yourself, planning your own life, going ahead. So she asked at the end about her health, and we drew the Two of Swords, which it was interesting sometimes to look at the pictures in a card. In this you can see a snake, and she had said earlier that when she dreamed of snakes, they were warnings for her not to go down that road. So as soon as she looked at the card, she said, oh my God, there's a snake in that card. And she said, does that mean something bad with my health? And I said, well, your health is changing, certainly, and you're going to be faced with a decision. And then she described tests that were coming up. Her doctor wanted some tests done on her heart and her lungs. And I said, very likely this card is suggesting then that you will have some decisions to make with your health. And she said, am I going to make the right decisions? And the Moon card answered that. And I said, well, your dreams will help you to make that right decision. And she said, oh, I'm a great dreamer. I remember all my dreams, and I've been following the guidance of my dreams most of my life. So I said, well, the cards have certainly supported that process for making this health decision that you're going to be facing over the next month, to make the right one. So thank you again for joining me today. If you've enjoyed this video, then give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Press the subscribe button. Beside the subscribe button, there is a bell, a notification bell. If you click that, then YouTube will send you a notification email when I've uploaded a new video, so you can keep up to date with my most recent uploads. I do plan to upload videos on this project for hopefully twice a week. So if you've enjoyed it, then you'll probably enjoy learning more about how the tarot works with me in the future. So thank you once again for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye for now.